the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Buckle up, rough roads ahead. So remember Phil Haney? This is what they did to Phil Haney. Now, one thing you should understand about most whistleblowers in the government, now some are deep state. That's the funny part, because the deep state people will make fun of, say, me as having to be a whistleblower. I mean, come on, you know, what they did to me in life, I had to say something. And again, they want you to say something, so then they can kill you and say they're killing you because you're a whistleblower. Like it actually makes sense, right? So what happens is Phil Haney was being harassed and killed out. And they'll go, why were we doing that? And then they'll insinuate he's a criminal. You know, remember Bruce Schultz and the FBI? If you go to PBA videos, the Police Benevolent Association, you'll see Bruce Schultz, FBI agent, and I guess a Florida, was he Jacksonville or Tampa PD or something, right? So you know, they cast shit on him when he killed himself, but they were killing him. Right? The thing is, the Russians were probably killing him also, and the Russians sent the messages to the co-workers that were corrupt. So again, Hansen and Ames were what's the word? I guess a diversion. So you would look for above ground payments and things like that. They were getting paid via the stock market, political clout, that kind of thing. And the Russians were behind it. The Chinese were behind it, because they knew they were shitty people and they wanted them to take over the agencies and departments and all of that. Oh, you know what happened? I couldn't figure out why I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk. I can't even imagine it just was affecting me like this. Unless it was the bike ride I took tonight to fix my legs a little bit. But I changed my inserts to another used set. But you know, I figured it looked a little better, so I changed them, and it seems like my shoes are working better. But I was also on my bicycle. My bicycle will not hold air. my rear shock. So I already put a warranty claim in. There's a couple troubleshooting things I did, and it could be fixed, but quite frankly, I bought a new bike. And send me a shock. I'll put it on for you. I'm not gonna troubleshoot a shock that's supposed to be brand new, and it looks kind of used. I may have put a little couple, not dings, but a little specks of paint got stripped off, because it's not the best paint in the world, but a couple little, nicks. But I did not scratch that shock. I was nowhere near that shock. Right, just shock has a big scratch on it. Poor quality control. So hopefully they'll honor it. A lot of times, I mean, it's a low budget air shock, so it doesn't even have a lockout. So I'm sure I'm hoping they'll just go here. It doesn't cost them, but it costs them $20 a shock. Right. So we'll see. I was able to ride it a little bit. I just couldn't get it to hold air. So that was enlightening. It's much better to ride a bicycle than it is to walk. So that'll be my new form of exercise. Oh, I was tickled. I was like, what's that? What's the old adage? You never forget how to ride a bike. That was pretty cool, riding that bike. So it's a pretty comfortable bike. It's just not as plush as my Velvet, but it never would have made it 3 years in storage. I'd had to replace it. I mean, I still would have had the frame and stuff. But So they're in the middle of a lot of stuff. So a couple of the orders came in weird. And then the other night, I was just going to, I got this vibe to just order the hand grips that were black and use the rings from my gray hand grips. Well, I gave them to this younger guy, and I gave him a helmet. Now he's disappeared. I guess I was going to say, hey, let's swap the rings. That's where I eventually got to. I didn't feel like using my WTB, or I bought some WTB grips, and they just don't have the right feel to it. It's like thinking maybe I wanted them, and then I'm like, nah. So again, it was Amazon. I was able to send them back. I had to order a bit from Amazon, and I was able to get them. And then last night, I'm like, okay, where's the kid? I need to swap these out. Let me get the black rings. But I contacted the manufacturer, and hopefully I'll be able to work something cost effective out with them and get some black rings. It doesn't look bad with the silver rings, but I prefer the black. That was the whole consternation of the whole thing. So I gave the kid some hand grips, and I gave him a helmet. And when I got the helmet, because at first I ordered that one, and I'm like, yeah, it's not going to have the look I want, I don't think. So I ordered this other helmet, right? But the other helmet came in like a day or something from Amazon. This helmet went slow boat from some bike store, I forget where. So I finally get it. I was going to keep it, and then, like I said, I rubbed alcohol on the one decal to try to get it off, and it kind of marred the helmet. I'm like, I'm supposed to give this away. I know it is. I know I am. So I gave it to him, and the whole idea was that he rides around without a helmet. Right. He's got a gas-powered bicycle, so he should have a helmet on. But apparently him and his father, I don't see his father. I saw his father once today while I was on the bicycle, but I haven't seen him around that much. They may have moved or getting ready to move into an apartment. Strange timing. I just want to swap those rings and get the black rings back. Because I had like gray rings, and he's got gray grips. The gray grips are supposed to came with black rings. So I ordered those, and it looked like this was just the center section of lock-on grips, like a replacement rubber part, and it wasn't. It was just regular grips. So I ordered, so it got all crazy. And again, I didn't get my cues right, so it kind of. And I ordered a set of handlebars. They're supposed to be gray, and I got the white ones. Doesn't look as good, but I mean, it looks fine. It's actually them, and this is the weird part. Because guy goes, okay, now look over here. Look at your shock. It's white and black. It looks like your handlebars, right? And there's that yellow color, but it doesn't bother you, right? And the guy goes, look over here. Now look at your tires. You see where it's white, and then there's the yellow. It doesn't bother you, right? It's because they cursed that item. They washed it. Now here's another thing. Today I'm like, I was missing one of my tire levers to change put the new inner tube in. How you doing? So what I did was, I said, well, it's over by my bed. God showed me exactly where. As soon as I put my hand down, it was underneath the sheet, had no outline of it or anything. I went poof, and there it was. So God said, if they didn't, that's because they didn't know you were looking for that. If they didn't curse your women away, you'd have been married. And never divorced in reality. So this is what our government is doing. It is not because it's against the same thing as the whistleblower. Oh, because he's a whistleblower. Oh, because he's a pervert. Oh, because he's a sex offender. But officers go through. I say officers, a lot of women there too, like FBI and stuff like that. So they go through a list of what they told people, and like the government won't do anything, but the agents, they study it because they have to stay alive too, So they tried this thing that I was actually charged with a sex crime, and I got actually convicted. They tried to say I was convicted, but it was before the registry. That's what they said. Then they said, oh, they didn't let us prosecute. Oh, we made a mistake. So again, they keep just increasing the lies and adding to the lies all the time. Why do I say that? Because that's what you're doing, all of you. It's that fucking simple. Thank you. So like officers just sit there and agents sit and they tell me what they do all day. And eventually, I mean, it could be, they could have sent it 7 years ago. I don't know. But eventually it gets to my mind and, oh yeah. And then like sometimes I send something back, like a, a response, the metaphysic or whatever. So let's get to this idea. So that officer said risk versus reward. Now that term is kind of strange and out of place. Why does he consider sex with a child a reward? Remember that one case where he said, well, it's simply risk versus reward. What's the reward? And why is he so in tune with risk versus reward? Because they're doing what I tell you they're doing. Now you have to understand, they won't admit psychology. They won't admit metaphysics, but then they also got to the point of not admitting real psychology. Clinical science will tell you, or clinical psychology and clinical science, if they do what they do, it will alter a person or could alter a person. Then they go, well, could. See, not everybody is altered. Into that has nothing to do with them. It has to do with, I guess it could be something to do with them. But again, how it all fits together. And again, the idea that, people are mentally ill that are affected by it, that's a fucking lie. Every last one of them knows that they're making people mentally ill. And when they see that they get their mind back, they go and they do it again, hoping that that pattern of disability takes root and never goes away. That's who they are. Like I told you, I give a shit whether Trump goes to jail. Yeah, hopefully you do him dirty, or not dirty, but you get him in prison, and hopefully, some of his people go after someone else and put them in prison. Who cares? You can all go to fucking prison. Yesterday. You committed the crimes yesterday. You might as well go to prison yesterday. They all talk, well, he's helping the Republicans. Oh, he's helping the Democrats. Spend all day trying to figure out how to strategize a psychological warfare activity against me and against other people. So I got somebody pulled over here, I guess. It's pretty long one. Is he going to bring the dog in or something? I think broke down. Trying to get probable cause or reason. Actually, you don't need probable. I think you need reasonable suspicion. A little rusty on traffic stuff. Yeah, the guy started acting weird. Well, you had him on the side of the road for an hour. Of course he's going to act weird. Well, we get to bring the dog in because he acted weird. Yeah, you're like, oh, we found the Holy Grail, the Kansas two-step, or whatever they call it. They got the two-step, the three-step, the five-step. You didn't get anywhere. We won't talk about that. The other thing will stay secret. Is the Attorney General going to laugh at that? So, it kind of fizzled out, the hot weather. It's going to supposedly hit us back. Oh, wait a minute. Did this thing... Hello. Oh, shit. We got it. We killed it. Let me see. Is it... No, it's still not registering. Something wrong here. Oh, there it is. Hello. I'm going to have to get some new cables. My cables are getting worn. I usually replace them pretty regularly. I haven't been getting to it. So the weather has straightened out here. I don't know if you heard me before, but it is what it is. So the weather's straightened out here. and it looks like it may have a couple hot days, but it's on its way to. That's one thing I noticed about Kansas when I was in Oklahoma last fall. That Kansas cools pretty quick. It don't play around. Once it hits, I mean, it's still gonna have some warm days, but once it hits a certain tipping point, it's like, and it's like months before it even thinks of getting cold in Oklahoma. So again, the summers may be almost identical, a little bit cooler here, but the winters are definitely well. Although I take it back, Oklahoma is a little drier, so it can be a little bit cumbersome here in the summers, but it has a very cool early fall, so that's fine with me. That's what I was looking for. I'd like to go further north, but I don't know about Wyoming. I can go look up somebody, but I don't even know if he's there anymore. They'll ask him to run operations against me. RG. Suit up. Moore's coming into Wyoming. Now, some officers talk about that stuff too. How they like they funded special assignments and all sorts of shit. Everybody suit up, Moore's here. He might try to kill us. Like it's serious and real, They funded special assignments like to the beach in Florida. I mean, it's disgusting, man. So they did kill Phil Haney. And again, it's not Obama. See, that's how they do it. Oh, it was Obama. It was the Clintons. Probably Republicans. Because you put it on the Democrats. So the bike's pretty cool. It's just not super plush, but again, I haven't had the rear shock operate right, so we'll see. I was looking at. It's funny trying to get like an upgraded fork for it because it's a tapered steering tube. It's quick release 9mm. And if I bump it up to like an air, like a decent air fork, it wants to go to the larger axle, and I don't think my hubs are I don't think I can quick change my hubs to the larger axle. I'm gonna have to look closer, but I didn't feel like it today. I took my wheels out and put the slime tubes in. And my purchase of those levers was a great purchase. I've never had it easier changing inner tubes and tires. I was going to get the Crank Brothers line, but I'm like, this looks too technical. It can't be good. I don't want to think that hard when I'm changing tires. Apparently, they have some sort of special feature and a speed changer or something. But all I did was I stuck one. They're really beefy. And the one thing I noticed was, because they said the plastic self-lubricates, but not all plastic. Like the Crank Brothers is like a pebbled plastic. So that's not going to move slide release. So I'm like, I don't want that. So I grabbed what do they call them, the Lunar or something like that, or the Lunas. I don't remember what they're called. But they're like bright reddish fuchsia or something. But they're real thick, and I'm like, this isn't going to work. I just like immediately like poo-pooing, this isn't going to work. I watch, it's going to be all messed up. So I get it, and I hit it with one lever, and it pops real easy. And then I get it, and then like I'm trying to think, I'm going down the road. I'm like, this isn't going to fit under these other ones. And then the spirit of the thing came on. That's great. Now do one right next to that one. Now slide. And I went. Because it's a very smooth lever. It just doesn't grab or nothing. It's a plastic, but it's a very refined surface. A very, it has to be like mirror polished if it was metal. But it's better than the metal ones that are mirror polished. I mean, this thing just went, and it just took it, went. That was it. I'm like, yeah. But, some things come from China, don't fit what they're supposed to fit. Like the names, they should hire me to name their products because it's just, I don't know who's telling you to name your products from China, these weird names. Because look, if you look at the naming protocols, Trek, Bontrager, Diamondback. Giant. It's very simple. Boogalaga. I mean, whoever heard of something called named Boogalaga? Who names that stuff? Unless it's all part of that psychological program, because I've seen a couple kind of look like it was aimed at me. The phonetic thing, Phonetically, that says this. But that's half the reason I don't buy it. I'm like, I don't want anything named that. But I bought this. It has lithium batteries in it, and it's a small air compressor, and it hooks up to an app. The reason I bought the one with the app because if the screen cuts out, you can still use the app. Right? At least I think you can. So I was. It's a touch screen. It's real nice, and I'm using that, and I'm thinking, oh, I got I bought it, and I turned it on. I'm like, oh, it's got 4 bars. I got plenty of battery power, right? The 4 bars never change until you're like 30 seconds from it dying. Then it starts flashing red. It's not supposed to be 4 bars because 4 bars tells somebody, oh, it'll be 3 bars, it'll be 2 bars, it'll be 1 bar. No, it wasn't charged at all. It was just like minorly charged so they could test it. I had a charge. I might eventually charge that up, but I have the big one too, because it's Presta, but I put the Schrader adapters on every time. It just makes it easier. So that was pretty good. So it's getting along. I had to adjust a couple things. I have to still do the shifting, and I'm like, I really can't eye it. I'm looking. I'm like, what is making this thing do that? I'm going to have to just, remove the chain to the left, to the right to see. It's probably what I'm thinking because it's the inner ring, and every so often when I get on it hard, it goes. I'm thinking actually, I don't know. It's either inboard or outboard. I couldn't see it. I was like, what is this? It's only 9 speeds, but it's like the wide ratio, so it can run on one ring. Right. It's not too bad. I wrote it. It actually is pretty good ratio. I just have to adjust it, and I can't just look at it and go, because sometimes you can look at it and go, okay, it's pulling over this way. You just go kink kink, and then it's in. I'm looking at it, looks like it's almost dead center. It doesn't make sense, but I did notice it was off to one side, and the links are kind of narrow. So what I'm thinking is it's just a much more finer science than it used to be with the fatter chain and the heavier equipment. Right. Well, I have to move it in a little bit, see if it goes away, then move it out, see if it goes away. Whenever it goes away, then that's what it was. Because I really can't eye it. To me, it looks like it's centered enough not to slip, so that's a concern. It could be a bad cassette, maybe. It wasn't the body armor I figured it out. It wasn't the body armor that was giving me vertigo. I was dehydrating, and that added to the effect of whatever it was. So I'm back on the body armor, but I'm making sure I'm keeping it to 1 a day. I don't need to be abusing myself with 2 of those because, again, it's a lot of potassium. That can screw up your stomach. Kidneys. But boy, this is like the worst. It took 3 years. I think they were doing something that we're not realizing, like sort of just drugging or something like that. I mean, I realize it, but system doesn't want to because they kill people with it. The system kills people, man. It's shit. And they remunerate the people that kill. It's on its head. Again, gangsters took over the world. Pretty much where we are. No, it's not a little corrupt. It's all organized crime and racketeering. So I have to sit down and do a production on the entire connection of psychology, metaphysics, and physical things that are causing people to degrade into sex crime, pedophilia, mass shooting. Again, over the years I've kind of loosely put it out there on how they're doing it, but it's an intense science, and they know what they're doing. Again, the idea of getting you connected to a woman that tries to get you interested, that's a pathway. And if they're isolating you, of course you're going to connect to whoever comes along. And that pathway, once they get into your sexual pathway, it exists. And then they start willing. Again, I heard somebody today that I knew existed in Santa Fe, and she tried to get my attention and tried to, show me the ring finger and all that. Worked at Walmart. So I heard her today. The information must have made it back to Santa Fe, where it isn't working out the way they had planned. So she's in there trying to convince me of some things that she shouldn't be trying to convince me of. She probably believes that I don't see her. They never knew that, I'd live to this point because they kill people and they commit suicide, or they go crazy and get locked up and then lose all credibility. So again, they isolate the person. There's nobody else connecting in to block that connection, because good people will block evil connection. Right. So that's why they isolate. So their person is the only person that connects in. They being willing and trying to speak. And again, she's at the point where she thinks she's speaking to my mind, and I'm receiving it as if I'm going to do it. That's what drives them nuts. Because I'm undercover in the head. And again, the other stuff where they have a woman that looks a certain way, and then they look for a child that would be that woman when she was a child, and then try to cross-wire the person. They do the same thing with trans and gay people. I mean, it's very intense, and it's not made to, again, if you talk to an officer for real, he'll tell you it's not that hard to make a criminal commit a crime. You don't have to spend 30 years, but it takes 30 years to make a nice person, a good person, into a criminal if you could. Generally, I mean, some people, a few years, 4 or 5 years. Again, if you're surreptitiously drugged, it's very difficult. If you didn't have like much of a life before it, I was a sapper leader and all that, and I had to deal with a lot of things as a child, being abused and all that. So again, a lot of people are spoon-fed today and spoon-fed yesterday, and they act like they had a tough life, and it's like bullshit. That's just they're just the system poor person that actually made it. That means everybody can make it, but it's bullshit. It was a setup by Satan. They've always been taken care of in their life. And that also might be helping him. Stopping the body armor may have actually, took me down a little bit. It was harder to walk. So I gave this guy a ride. He's working here now. He used to be my neighbor. I wasn't sure who he was with. I could have swore he's with a younger girl, but she looks older now, and it's his wife. But he can't live here now because he works here. But I gave him a ride today. I had to chase after him. He wanted a ride, and then he left. And then I saw him, and I'm trying to catch up to him, and I pulled down that road at Walmart and went into the first opening, which is the car lot. And I'm yelling, yo, yo. He just keeps walking down at the light. I'm like, oh. So I had to go down to the flooring place and then try to. I was able to. He could see me at that point. All right. Everybody in the car, they were like, "This is it, mass shooting." They just looked so freaked out that I was just like looking down at the traffic light, going, "Yo, hey!" So it is what it is. It isn't what it isn't. So it's a little humid, but it's not as hot as it's been. It's definitely cooled off. We're definitely getting somewhere. Taking away that heat wave. Looks like a couple days might be warm, but I'll believe it when I see it, because the rain looks like it's starting to roll in. So they cleaned out our air conditioning units. The funny part was, what is this here? This is this guy. So the funny part was that, like 2 days before these people came in, maybe 3, my air conditioner started leaking, and he's like, "Oh, it's got to be cleaned out. I'll set up a schedule and appointment." I was like, "No, these people are coming in. You just wait for them to get here." So it's like so weird. Like, they're here to clean my air conditioner because it started leaking. That's really why they're here. But they took care of it. They cleaned it real nice. Nice people. He came in my room. I had my cameras on. I said, "Don't say anything while you're in here that you don't want anybody else to hear. I got my cameras on." I caught him cursing me earlier. I was like walking through my room, and I tripped over the bike stand. I bought a bike stand, and and the thing was like right away, "It's them doing it to the cameras." So I cursed the other side of the cameras. So that's what they're doing on Ring cameras. They hack in. They don't always talk to you. They watch you undress, watch you. This is what the government's been up to in their private sector criminal cronies. Don't let them tell you they're saving the world from people like that. They are people like that. So yeah, they look on that Ring camera and curse you and things like that, and then your life drops down. They laugh, curse them, and they drop the dinner on the ground. That's the way they are, man. That's how psycho they are. Looking into your house, cursing your dinner. The world's degrading, and they don't even get it. Yeah, I really wanted to move to an apartment just to be around normal people, and they know it. They know if I get to an apartment, there's always a chance I'll meet a woman, and we'll, hook up, and that'll be it. Right. And they're already using AI for that kind of stuff. Don't let them tell you that, maybe in the future. They're already using AI to destroy people's lives and to make their people's lives. They're cheating beyond any possible imagination you could come up with, to include killing out people and destroying them to death. It includes Republicans, so let's not play that game again, because that's part of what it does. It creates the false argument. AI will create a false argument to cover for the criminals that put AI into operation, and that includes federal government in the United States. Whew. I think I'm going to go in soon. It's first day I've been walking in a while. Have to work back up to 2 hours or hour and a half, whatever it was. but it's cooling down. It's going to be nice, and it was so much more comfortable riding that bike. This is like great. I was irritated because the rear transmission, it just as soon as I got on it real hard, it would go and slip. So hopefully it's not a bad wheel back there, cartridge wheel. What do they call it? Freewheel, whatever it is. It's not the freewheel works well. What is it called? It's the cartridge. That's what it is. Yeah. Like bad teeth or something. But usually it's just, like I said, you adjust because it's the outer gear that's the worst. So the more you go out, or the outer gear, which is the smaller cog, the more you go out, the worse it gets. And it's only like the last two, right? So it's just an adjustment, one direction or another. And then you got to be careful because then you move that, and then it bothers something else, Just wasn't like, why couldn't this just run from the factory? But I'm not going to troubleshoot. Like I could rebuild the shock for them, but why would I do that? It's a brand new bike. But it didn't have the sag thing. Like you're supposed to measure the sag when you sit on a bike. It's supposed to be within a certain spec. That's how you know how you have the right amount of air in it. Didn't even have that on there, which is strange. Right. I was wondering if somebody may have changed that shock out somewhere along the way. Trying to pass it off on me. But I didn't. The sag thing's not even there, so I'm just hoping they just send me a new one so I can just plop it on. I mean, I don't relish the idea of having to change it, but kind of a manly thing, right? I fixed the shock there. Put that door on. This place is getting weird. It's like nobody's here. A bunch of people moved out. I wonder if they were part of the operation. They got paid or something. Right. Give them my apartment, right? What are you looking for? Who?
Joshua? DoorDash?
No, I'm just walking.
Oh.
What are you looking for? A room?
Yeah. Suite 162.
162. It's somewhere. It's in this building. This is building 1. If you look over there, it tells you where some of the numbers are. I can't. It might be on the other side, I think. There it is. The delivery guy. Are you so and so? No, I'm just walking. I'm like the Santa of delivery people. I couldn't print out the map. I was going to make my own map and print it out. I worked on numbers, but I just couldn't get to it. I was going to do a hand-drawn map and then just copy it off on my printer. Probably take it to the front office and have them copy it too. They probably copy a few for me. I asked them for a map. They used to have a map, like sitting on the counter. Then it disappeared, and I asked them for one. We don't have one. I'm like, yeah. I said, I'll copy it for you and give it out to the delivery people. Wait, he's going the wrong way, I think. I told you to go over there and look at the numbers. I don't know if he speaks English. Look, if you didn't mess with me, I've been an Uber driver, dude. That's good money for somebody that's got, a basic retirement. Right. They try to get me to do it, but I can't. I mean, it's a perfect place for spies to set you up. And the thing is, they don't really investigate it. They feign the investigation. And, they just write statement after statement. They go, look at this file we got on him, but it's all bullshit. That's how they do it. They're sick. Meanwhile, real criminals are running around, dancing the samba in the club with everybody, including them. Like every place I've ever lived, there was always this older man that had younger women, and usually it was a bad scene. Like this guy's married, so it's pretty cool. But it was It was like what they were trying to say I was trying to do or do. And they get to the point where go, well, he's just not, he's dysfunctional. He's a dysfunctional criminal. Like it's never happened because he's not that good at it. He's just that such a sick person that he can't actually even be a good criminal. When I was in like, so I'm in Oklahoma and they're slowly ruining my life, right? They're trying to work me over, and I know what it's about, right? So there's this guy, and he's using drugs. Woman behind the counter is using drugs. She's got a kid. I do believe she probably either died or ended up in prison. I don't know what happened to her life. Is he still trying to find it or what? I don't know. I think it's on the other side. Right. It's on the other side. Okay, good. Yeah, I think it's on the other side. Like I said. Got a big pizza and a bunch of stuff. So there's this guy, right? And he's just like a total jerk to a lot of different people. I mean, me, we didn't, interact all that much. Just, hi, how are you? Because I saw him. He would go to these different places. So he's married to this woman who's on disability. And the daughter tells me when I move in that, because she was running the first, she was in the office, not running, but she was in the office in the first Whistling Street, so I move in. She tells me how her mother would still be with the father, and I guess she's about 21. And the mother is gorgeous. She's absolutely gorgeous. But she's got severe psychological issues, and she's using narcotics. So this guy introduces her to narcotics. Again, probably some sort of self-medication. So this guy she goes out, he meets her, somehow they get to the bar together, and she leaves the husband. And then the life, next thing you know, they're living out of hotels, kind of thing. And not even that successfully. So imagine, I guess the mother's on disability, I think. And but meanwhile, you always see him with the young girl. And when we hit Valentine's Day, he's putting Valentine's stuff on the young girl's door. Because I walked out my room, I'm like, what's going on here? Now, I was friends with her, but I would make coffee like I do for everyone. Hey, you want some coffee? Yeah, I got a coffee maker. So I'd make some, Choco Mocha or whatever it was, in the blender. She goes, I want some more sugar in that next time. So I got this coffee clash neighborhood thing going on over there. That was the first place. But then they showed up at the second place. Now, I never knew what the mother looked like till I was at the second place. And when I saw her, I was like, oh my God, she's gorgeous. But meanwhile, there's narcotics, and I'm never figuring out if the young daughter's on narcotics too, because again, she might have one of those personalities, Right. So it was just he was always with her, driving around. I'm like, yes. And then, but he's always like being this jerk, and then he gets like a deal on a room. I mean, he's probably in prison by now or dead too. They're just looking at their lifestyle. I'm like, how do they even survive? So I tried helping the woman because she had a kid, but you can't force yourself into people's lives, right? And again, she was looking for the narcotic. So there's, very doubt she's going to go in a Thin Blue Line guy's vehicle, or I mean, I Thin Blue Line on my vehicle, so I doubt she would, be interested in just even being friends. I mean, we're friendly, and I always enjoy buying ice cream for kids. So like I'll say, parent, can I buy ice cream for your kid? And I just throw a box of some sort of ice cream at them. At the mother or father or whoever. Right. Especially single mothers, because I know they don't have the money for it. Right. So I tried helping her for a while, and then I had to get out of there. It was just too crazy. They were operating me like every day in that place. I had screwed up so many different things. But it's just like it gets so fucking sick because people are actually getting paid to destroy someone's life, a good person's life, and make false, fabricated statements. And it's sick. It's the sickest thing that's ever been in this country. And it's destroying it. I'm telling you that right now. Yeah, well, look, I got money and we're living a good life. But how about the other people that were a part of it? Where are they now? These are the people that actually go to hell. So we have, what's her name? This is a good one. Flamey Grant, a trans man. Not a trans. He's a, what is he called? A drag queen. What he made. This is like God. They don't get it. So he's like the top of the contemporary Christian, or she. Well, actually, he could be as he, because he's not really trans, and he lives a life as a man with his husband or whatever it is. Right. But so he gets the like #1 hit and the #1 album for contemporary Christian music. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you shouldn't, like, I didn't even look at the title of the one song. I just looked at the one, or the other songs. The one song, what was the one that was the big one? You Make Me Good, or something like that. And so I'm talking about God, right? Again, the law is ridiculed. The law, if you're depending on the law to gradiate yourself for other people, it's actually ridiculed in the scriptures. So again, that's part of the idea that God is what makes her good, or him good. But I kept going. I wanted to try to get the message, and I was trying to figure out how to word it. Because what I wanted to say, like, they're afraid of saying Jesus. They're afraid because the church is full of evil people. And instead of saying we've all fallen, the scriptures doesn't point to one thing generally over another, as far as, but the church wants to point to it, because why? A good portion of the church is not gay, will not be gay, and they're sure of that. So they say that's the big evil. But if you look in the scripture, Israel was destroyed more times than Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. If you look on the list of abominations, it's not only gay people, it's people that get other people mad. How many people on earth haven't gotten somebody mad on purpose? Zero. So again, that abomination list is the same thing. Again, years ago, people say, well, we all sin. We've all fallen short of the glory of God, but we've all become an abomination. But that's how it's always been there, but you couldn't see it until God revealed it. So I want them to get stronger, like those women, or the trans women in the Philippines that were telling me to have faith. Or I prayed for you last night. I want to see that in their world. I don't want them to be afraid of speaking the truth, because when they look in the Bible, they're being possessed into believing that it speaks about gay people more than it does anyone else, because it doesn't. It speaks about everybody. Because the idea is undoing the idea that humans will judge something of another person that they caused to have the issue to begin with. So, like, on fire for the Lord in traditional sense. Again, they're trying to move and find their niche within Christianity, but I think they're losing focus on what they need to say, because they get a little nervous about some of what it says. Now, that drag queen woman that's the #1 on the contemporary Christian charts, she understands it, but she beats around the bush. Now, that's a soul-winning trick, or technique, should I say, not a trick. So again, to the community that she's witnessing to, that may be the only way to do it. Now, I went back and forth trying to figure out, is she really Christian, or she couldn't be on the charts if she wasn't really Christian. I mean, if she was fake, I don't think they would even put her on the charts, because it'd be just, a scam at that point. Right. But that's what I'm getting at. It should sound a little bit more out there, but it should also explain it. Again, people say, well, preaching the people, that are lost, the evil people, preaching the cross is foolishness. But what the church believes is preaching of the cross is running somebody else into the ground that can't be anything other than they are. And a lot of people say, well, if you were right with God, you wouldn't be gay because God would save you. If God can't save Jesus, then I don't think they're going to save somebody that's not Jesus. It got to the point where Jesus said, this is not my Father's kingdom, or he would send. So again, if you don't closely look at the progression of the statements in the scriptures, then you get lost. And again, well, about you more, Jesus at a certain point said he was God. He said enough about not being God that I know he's not God, because why? He's not. That aspect of God can never incarnate. Now, he can incarnate in a connection to you, and that's what that was. So again, I'd like to see them really get a little more on fire traditionally and not be afraid of traditional statements, because it doesn't really just focus on gay people. And again, you can't inherit you can't inherit the earth. You can't inherit the kingdom of God. It's God's. It's almost like the opposite of the truth. Well, the Bible says certain people will not inherit the kingdom of God, or inherit the earth. And if you look at it, you should be afraid, because you're on there. Everybody's on that list. Well, what's God's goal? What do you think God's goal is? Don't start in the middle of some work somewhere. God's goal is to bring everyone home. That's all I'm doing right now, is bringing people home. But it has to be triggered a certain way. We're freeing salvation for different groups of people, including the trans people, including the gay people. It's not easy. I mean, as learned as I am in the ways of LGBTQ and trans people, it's not easy. I'm like, oh, hey, ooh. So again, the idea, Christians aren't really Christians because they're just spoiled devils who own Christianity on this planet. Well, they own the church. But Jesus never uttered the word church. Jesus, made sure I understood that, and so did God. But Jesus never uttered the word church. Now, again, the idea where the scriptures attacks gay people more than anyone else, the idea where Jesus was all on board with the church. Jesus never said church. He said a community of people that believe in the Messiah. Or that believe that he was the Messiah. Now, in Judaism, if you go far enough into reality, you'll find that they believe in multiple messiahs, or the probability. I think it started possibility of multiple messiahs. I think it got to the point of probability of multiple messiahs. When I woke up, God spoke about Messiah men. Now, he didn't say Jesus was a Messiah man, but he said these several other people that I am showing you in the peculiar history of the Jewish people, they were my Messiah men. And they couldn't succeed because the people failed it. God said about the end times, says, I brought the end times so many times. So all these people said, the end times are here, were right. And it could go several different ways. But he said they turned the other direction and they failed it. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.